Alexa, stop.
Okay, so it's been about 40 minutes. I stirred a few times during that 40 minutes. It's cooking at 2, just so you know. And I need to add my roux of flour with water. Sorry about that. I used half a cup of all-purpose flour. Put it in this bowl and then put water up to almost the top, but enough that I could stir it and not spill. It is really thick. I am gonna add just a tidge more of water because it did soak up and as it thickened up, because I want to make sure that I get as many of the clumps out as I can before I pour it into the hot water. So this is, like I said, see how it has some clumps. I did a half a cup of flour and I used cold water. And I just put it over under the faucet as I did it and got it to the point as high as I could without having issues with stirring and getting all the lumps out. Make sure you scrape the bottom so that there's no flour stuck to the bottom. I'm going to put these clumps in to the cup that I used so that they're just sometimes they're a little bit harder to undo. You will have some. It's hard to avoid. Anytime you make gravy, you run into that issue. So no worries. Okay, so I'm going to pour my can of tomato sauce. It's plain tomato sauce. Make sure you don't buy the non-salt, the one with basil. They come with so many different herbs now. Get just a regular can, 8 ounce of tomato sauce, and you're going to use the whole can. And I'm going to pour it in there first before I pour in the roux. Get it all in there. I'm going to stir that. Some people use chicken broth. I've never used it before. I think my brain can't get around using chicken broth in a beef dish. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour the roux in, and I need to get this a little bit higher temperature so that it'll start to boil, because you want your sauce to thicken. And you're going to let it simmer for a little bit after that. But the minute I pour in the roux, I need to start stirring, because there is meat in there and it's not as easy to make sure you stir fast enough that it doesn't clump. Otherwise you'll have clumps of flour. And that can easily happen. It happened to me many a times. At the end of my cooking, I would just take a small strainer and scoop out all the clumps of flour. This is what my strainer looked like. In case I need it, I'm gonna have it right here. That way I can show you what I'm doing. But it's starting to get, I can hear it boiling. This is the depth of the pot that I used. I used a big one because I'm about to use this one to make arroz con pollo, and I really want this one because this has a lid that I can seal the pressure so that it'll cook because of the rice. And this one has a glass lid and it works just fine that way. Okay, so I can hear it starting to boil, so I'm going to go ahead and pour this in and stir as quickly as I can. See, some of that did get stuck, even though I tried not to let that happen. It's okay. If it's not enough roux, I will make some more if I need to. But I'm stirring it quickly, different clockwise and then counterclockwise. I just want to get in there and get that flour mixed in that gravy as quickly as I can. You see some white stuff, but that is onions. Now I'm just going to keep stirring it and let this cook down and thicken up. It's still runny, as you can see. I'm going to keep stirring so I know that that flour is mixed into that gravy. This is a little bit larger than I'm used to making, so it may take more roux. I may have to do another 1/4 cup, plus I had some stick. So I think what I may do is just add a little bit more water to this bowl and try to stir that up some more and use it. Because it's not going to hurt. If you get it too thick, which is rare that happens, you can always add water. You just want to make sure that when you add your roux to your carne guisada, sometimes when you have to use too much or more than usual, your spices might fade out a little bit. So you may have to add some spices and let them cook in. Just make sure you don't cook your meat too long, because then your meat will be kind of bready. Okay, I'm going to add this and stir. I can feel it getting thick already. I got most of that flour out of there, not all of it. I feel like it should be thicker by now, so I feel like I may need to add some more flour. Sometimes I'm just not patient enough to let it cook. Let's let that boil a little bit. I'm gonna hike up the heat. Took it up to 5. Let's see what this does. See how it's a little bit thicker. But we like it really a lot thicker than this. Keep stirring so that the flour doesn't stick to the bottom of the pot. Also want to taste the flavor here. While I have time to cook it down a little bit more, I want to make sure that my spices are still as savory as when I started this process. Oh, it's pretty good. It is pretty good. I think I am going to add some more roux. So I have my flour actually still here. I'll just use the same bowl. I'm probably going to use about half of it. I don't want to use the whole thing. And I'm going to add some water to it. Still have water here. You can hear it boiling over there. It's really thick. See how that is like pasty? I think I may need to add a little bit of water, so bear with me. I wish I could tell you that you could measure everything and be perfect, but you learn as you go. Okay, I'm going to pour this in here now and very quickly stir it. You know, once this is finished cooking, and it won't be long, I serve this with Spanish rice, beans, tortillas, and some avocado. Sliced avocado is probably better than guacamole to me when you're cooking this. See how much thicker that is? Consistency is thicker, and it will continue to thicken as I cook it. If you want it to be even thicker, add more roux. You will know how thick you want it. If you're eating it in a bowl, this would work. But if you're going to put it on a plate with a bunch of other items like sides, not a bunch, but a couple of sides, you don't want your gravy to run into everything else. Unless you really love the gravy, which I kind of do. You can thicken it a little bit more. Add maybe another half a cup of flour or another quarter cup maybe. And just keep doing that until you get it right. I also make super tacos with this. Super rolls. So when I make super rolls, I definitely need the gravy to be thicker. A super roll is a tortilla smothered with refried beans, mild cheese, and then probably half a spoon of this of meat with very little gravy, because you have to roll that tortilla and it gets messy, but it is so good. It is a good messy. You could probably use a fork and knife to eat it, but it is one of the best tacos you could ever make, and nobody else makes them. So enjoy. Let me let me pour a bowl of this so you see what it looks like. I'm just going to use a paper bowl. that stuff. Pour some gravy on there. It's amazing. Enjoy.